What is it like to have a mental health disorder as a Korean man?
Yikes, that's what it is. Whenever I started to have the mental health stuff, I just didn't tell my relatives. I've always felt ashamed to be, Korean, because of my mental health, because I feel like I can't do the things I want to do, that people, grow to be proud of, in an Asian environment. I always feel myself like I can't connect. It goes to like this just the Asian, uh, baseline is just that you don't get. There's no such thing as mental illness. It's not something that you talk about or exists, and it's a sign of weakness. I just wish I could feel loved by more people.
What can people do to make you feel loved?
Um, Ask me questions. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just uh, when people don't really ask how I'm doing or what I'm feeling, it makes me feel like distance.
When you first told people about what you were experiencing, what ways could they have responded that would have comforted you?
Uh, I'd say I wish they would ask me what can I do to help you, or them just listen and spend time with me.
What is your diagnosis?
Oh, schizoaffective disorder with bipolar type.
You let out a big sigh before that. Why is that?
I hate it. Whenever I was like, I'm 27 right now, and whenever I was 19, I had my first manic episode where I thought like I was king of the world and thought I was amazing and all that. And I thought that living with that kind of high was like the best thing in the world. And then I started to notice how not just the mania, but the mental illness just started to rip apart, my life, because I lost friends, I lost connections, I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. I was very delusional. Thought that I was a reincarnated religious figure from the Bible.
You believe that?
I believe that, yeah.
How often in a typical day do you feel happiness?
I think my thoughts are so, they blur by so fast that I don't necessarily know how I'm feeling. I don't like feeling a lot of things all the time, because I normally do. Whenever I'm like having an episode, I just feel everything, all the emotions, all the anxiety, sadness, paranoia, panic. And so when I'm not feeling that way, I don't mind that. It's not happiness, but it's just like a nice break from feeling everything.
So when did you realize you weren't a reincarnated religious figure?
I had a really bad crash. I lost a lot of friends. I got back on medication again, and I was like, oh, I'm not that person anymore. Mania is the most terrifying for me of the mental illnesses, is because you literally think that you know the answers to everything. So that you don't get help, you don't eat well, you don't get medications, and just it spirals. So the fact that I'm even here alive talking about what I've been through, it's sort of a miracle, because like there could have been a moment where I just like I don't care and done something destructive in my life. So that's the thing with mania specifically. It's so volatile that can end up in hurting yourself or someone else.
Do you have mania managed now?
Yeah, I have medication for that, so it's really helpful. I'm a lot less like a lot more not sedated, but just more calmer than I used to be. I still have like we talked about before the impulses, but that's a lot less, fewer far between. It's so important to get help, meds, therapy, all that kind of stuff, because the mania is not going to always be there, and sometimes that crash is what kills people the most.
How would you describe schizoaffective disorder to somebody who's never experienced it?
I would say that schizoaffective is like seeing everything you know and love that you know is happening, and real. Whether it be your thoughts, emotions, experiences, and having all of those tell you that no one matters, nothing matters, you're going to die. And that can be manifested in hallucinations, intrusive thoughts, mania, depression. It always keeps telling you you're going to die, nothing matters. And it sounds really, dark because it is dark. I feel like, with my schizoaffective, I've always had to remind myself it's not that way. So it's just dark, and having people understand that, I think, is important.
It sounds like you have a lot of existential dread.
Mm-hmm. It's annoying. I just want to enjoy life, but I do know that, or I feel that kind of stuff is important, but it's just annoying with how unproductive it makes me. I sometimes feel like I can't do the things I want to do because I'm worried about death all the time. I've had time when I was a kid, before I was, really struggling with this, that I could experience life, and so I've had to remind myself, hey, when you were 10, you got to experience life. You're happy, you're fine, you're okay. And you may not be able to experience all of that now, but that doesn't mean that is not real.
When somebody hears your experience, how do you hope they react?
I hope they just reach out and talk to me. I feel like it's hard for me to reach out to people because I feel like I'm too much for everyone else. And at some points, I can be, sure, but I just wish that people would just reach more out to me, because I don't want to. I don't want to just end up being alone.
What's the best way that somebody can communicate to you that they love you?
Just tell me that they love me, that they care about me, and they support me.
To me, love means that you just want someone to do the absolute best they can to be here and to experience joy, and I love you.
Appreciate that. Love you too.
How important is it to feel loved?
I think it's the most important thing ever. I think helps people have hope, and sometimes that's all we can do.
One of the things that many people think of when they hear schizoaffective disorder is hallucinations.
Mm-hmm.
Do you experience them? I
have once. I was vacationing, just to get through some stress, and when I was in an Airbnb, I was just trying to go to bed, and I heard whispers. And I never had hallucinations before, but I was going through a rough time. And I just heard whispers to people. It didn't really scare me. I was just like, oh, another thing. So it wasn't so much that I was scared by it, because it was not like an intense one. But, if you have schizoaffective, having hallucinations is not out of the realm of possibility.
Schizophrenia doesn't just always mean constant hallucinations.
Right. Yeah, it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum. Even you can have depression on a spectrum. People experience mental illness in different ways, and it's also important that you also treat it in different ways. So it just depends on the person.
So what are the symptoms of schizophrenia you more commonly experience?
Mainly it's the psychosis and paranoia. Psychosis simply meaning, and they can manifest in different ways, but that's the most baseline meaning is that you have difficulty determining what is real and what is not real, based on your thought patterns, and then hallucinations can be a part of that, and then just the paranoia, thinking things are a certain way that you're afraid of. Not always. I constantly have to reassure myself that everything's okay, everything's fine. I have to ask my mom, do you hate me? Or my dad, do you hate me? They're like, oh no, we love you. And I have to ask that multiple times. And so those are the main two I have, and then also the bipolar type, which I just have mood fluctuations depending on how I'm doing that day. But together, it's one big it's a lot to deal with.
What's the moment in your life where you felt the most joy?
I do remember. I was in high school. We had a band contest and we did really well. And we made finals for that competition. And how I felt whenever we finished the show, that's the happiest I've ever been. So, and part of it's just all the adrenaline from competing and doing the show. But I think that's the happiest I've ever been. I was like 14.
I know this is a very sensitive topic, but I believe in society today, it's an important one that we all understand. Tell me about your violent thoughts.
Gosh. A lot of it is aggressive. Like, imagine like any very violent movie. And imagine that's just in my brain of like, I want to do that, I want to do that.
I want to be honest about something for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm constantly learning and questioning myself through these videos and trying to get better, as I think we all should.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized that I have my own personal stigma when it comes to mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when you said that you have violent, intrusive thoughts, it didn't change how I thought about you, but I worried, oh no, what if our community reacts negatively? I don't want to subject you to that.
Right.
What do you think about me having that thought?
That's valid. I mean, I can't tell you to not think or react a certain way, but that's why it's important to ask questions. It's important to be compassionate.
Do you want me to publish everything you're saying?
Sure. I mean, if you want to.
I mean, I want to.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. It's just I think it's one thing that's important for people to recognize is when I'm talking, I'm making a decision to be open. That's a valid thought to be worried about.
But it sounds like almost if I was to leave out such a pivotal part of information that you made the conscious decision to share, it's a way of taking away your autonomy.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that because that's important for me to consider.
Yeah, it's really important that people understand that because just we have intrusive thought doesn't mean you're gonna do them. I mean, it's literally like a misfiring of the brain. The thing for me that helped me realize that those thoughts weren't me was the fact that they disturbed me so much. If they didn't disturb me at all, that's a different issue. But they disturb me so much that that means no, I'm a good person. I don't want this.
You told me very honestly, and I appreciate it, about your violent, intrusive thoughts. Yet I don't feel like you're a violent person. You seem like a peaceful person. You seem like a nice person. Would you say that that's accurate?
Yes, that's accurate. That's accurate. It's not. I don't, and I definitely don't want to come across as like, lying about my thoughts. But I mean, dark thoughts are the thing. Yeah, just because I look nice doesn't mean I'm not struggling.
Why is it important to open up that you do have those intrusive thoughts?
It helps. So it helps you empty your brain. It's. I think it's important to just not just talk to someone, but have an outlet for those thoughts. Whether it be art, music, anything, anything expressive. I think it's important because it's just. If they just stay there, they can just wreck your life. Even if you don't do anything, even if you don't actually, do what the thoughts tell you, it's just a lot to do. So being able to talk to someone is really important.
What advice do you have for a person who's experiencing violent, intrusive thoughts for the first time and they don't know what to do?
I would say that nothing's wrong with you. It's a misfiring of the brain that causes you to think a certain way about certain things. And it's important to recognize that it's not your fault. You're not a bad person. I'd probably go get some kind of help. I grew up with a lot of trauma in my life, and culturally speaking, we don't really get angry. In my culture, we just don't feel anger. I distinctly remember a time whenever I was talking to a therapist. He was also Asian, and I told him I was feeling really rageful, angry, and upset. And he sort of stopped and he was like I'm professional that I'm required to read people's emotions and try to help them understand their emotions, and I can't tell that you're angry. And so a lot of it was just it was just him like, hey, you need to learn to process your anger better. And so a lot of it is just it came from a lot of dark places within, and I didn't really know how to cope with it. Jiu-jitsu definitely, doing martial arts helped. But it was just definitely a very frustrating thing to deal with.
What's the best way somebody can help you today?
Just encourage me. This past year's been absolutely a train wreck. So, trying to find affirmation and hope is really important for me. Am I doing okay?
Yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you're doing?
I'm a little nervous, but I guess that's normal.
What about this makes you nervous?
I'm afraid that people won't appreciate or understand even if I'm as honest as I am right now.
What's the most important thing you hope people understand?
I think, this sounds dark, but like, I think understanding that, people, can struggle really, really hard, and a lot of people lose that battle, whether it be with aggression or with mental health, in that area. But I feel like can you repeat the question?
Of course. What is the most important thing you hope people understand?
Just hope that people understand that like people can go through this kind of stuff. It's not just like because you grew up a certain way or a certain town or whatever. It doesn't mean that you're not like susceptible to these kinds of things. And so it's important for a lot of people who struggle with mental illness that even if it's in aggressive form, that they feel loved and appreciated and just feel like respected. I think it's the number one thing.
Are medications an automatic cure? Do you take them and then everything goes away?
No. It helps you to get to a baseline. So one of the things I had, my doctor told me, was that you're going to deal with a baseline level of psychosis and paranoia for the rest of your life. And that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Doesn't mean you're doing anything bad. That's just how it is. You have to learn how to deal with it. And my psychiatrist, I've seen her for 6 years, so she knows me. She knows, the stuff I go through. And so she's like, okay, you're not going to, it's not a cure-all, but that doesn't mean, that you can't get better or you can't do the things you want to do. Some things you may not be able to do, but that doesn't mean you're a bad person. Like, I tried going to college. I did well in college, but I had to drop out because of mental health. So, yeah.
What would you like to say to other people who are just diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder?
Oh, wow. I would say to them that they matter, and it's okay to feel lost and angry, upset, unhappy, and all those other things. But there is hope, and one thing that helped me was just finding something I love to do and putting all my passion and creativity into that. You're not alone, and you can do it.